when they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther, you know? Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
And now he's been promoted. His job, principal.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Uche Joku. Welcome to the Sneaker Principal Podcast. My mantra, it's been a while. Wait, what is this here? That's not what I asked for. Technical difficulties off the bat. Here we go. All right, here we go. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. Actually, I do know why I did that. For those of you who are listening, you're probably thinking, what's going on here? For those of you who are watching, my Ecamm Live went to split screen, but I was testing it out earlier, so I didn't take that off. So that's what happened there. So yeah, it's been a while, and I'm hoping me saying it's been a while will become less and less. There's been some big changes in my life and in the work that I do. Excuse me. And today I am here just recording a quick episode because I am kind of like warming up for an interview that I will be having tomorrow. It's a really special interview, a special guest. I won't say who this person is. You will find out soon enough. But in the interim, I have to pull off the cobwebs off of the equipment just to make sure that I'm ready to go for tomorrow. So here I am right now. The video looks great. The audio sounds great. I had the fan blowing in the background because in this small office space that I have here, to have AC in here is just not going to work. It's just going to be way too loud. So I have a window fan. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, see, right over there, I have a window fan. So it's blowing right now. Hopefully, my Rodecaster Pro is doing a good job at keeping that ambient noise at bay. But nonetheless, I'm here. I'm ready to go. But before I even say anything else, how are you doing? How's your summer going? And I'm talking specifically to my fellow educators, teachers, assistant principals. And now, listen, I'm going to include parents in there because right now, summertime, a lot of our kids are at home right now. So that is added pressure and stress, especially trying to figure out what to do with them. And even for those who have summer school and just making sure your kid gets through that, there's a lot of things going on. Even though it's summer, I understand that. But I'm going to ask you again, how are you doing? You know, do me a great favor. If you're doing great or you're doing horribly, either way, do me a favor, right in the here on YouTube, give me a thumbs up if you're doing good, then give me a thumbs down if you're not doing well. Either way, your interaction is going to help the algorithm say, hey, this is good content and we need to push this out there. So beyond that, let me see here. What can I say? So this is July 20th. So we're almost a month since the closing, about 3 weeks since the end of the school year. And right now, we're right in the middle of summer school's happening. And for a lot of us here, especially myself, this is a time for me to reflect on the past year. And it's not even past school year, but also reflecting on in the last 3 years. So for those of you who are aware, I started my current principalship the fall of 2019. So I was a principal at another school in the Bronx. For those of you who don't know, I am a New York City principal. I had a school in the Bronx where I was a middle school principal, and I was invited to take on a high school in Brooklyn. And that happened the fall of 2019, a couple weeks into the school year. And then from there, went into the business of trying to learn that school environment. But then something happened around November, December. There was a scare, nationwide, worldwide, COVID-19. And then all of a sudden, things became very shaky and very rocky. People were getting sick, people were dying. and we kind of crept into the spring, and what was it? 10 days? No, 10 days? No, 12 days after the birth of my son, the world shut down. Schools shut down. Everything was shut down, and you can imagine, the stress and pressure of taking on a new school, having a newborn, and then not only that, having a newborn with a toddler at home as well, and then a pandemic. At that point in time, we didn't know what it was. I don't think the word pandemic was being used yet. It was kind of like precursor of that language being used, but then that became the focal point. We're in a pandemic, and that that year, 2019 to 2020, kind of defined the next 2 years. Being remote for a full year, then coming back into this past year that was kind of like disjointed. The beginning of the year started off with at home, not at home, quarantines, not quarantines, and as a result of all that, I'm sweating, guys. I am so sorry. Again, if I'm going to give you guys the best audio, I'm going to have to give you a sweaty video. So I do apologize for that. But all that happening, here I am. Here we are. At the close of a full year, even though it started off shaky, a year that resulted in a full-on graduation. All my seniors got to graduate at the same time. By the time spring came around, things became quite normalized as far as our physical interaction in the building with students and families. And but still, there's a lot of things that happened that impacted the way we do what we do as teachers, as administrators, as parents. And it's not over, because things are different now. And now we have the talks of the monkeypox and those other things happening around the world. People are still kind of on edge. But I'm going to speak to you directly as a school leader, as an educator, and how much of that has really put me in a place of reflection. Because again, we were never trained for this. Educators, teachers, administrators, we were never trained for this. There was never a class that said, pandemic 101, this is what you do. The world is about to end, this is what you do. You're coming out of probably one of the most trying times in the history of the world, probably at least in the modern times. This is how you do, this is how you function. There was very little training for that. First of all, there's no initial training for that, because, first of all, why would you even train for that? They didn't post that, no matter how much work was done to really try to get the kids back to center. I think us adults were working so hard to try to get kids back to center that we weren't provided with the resources ourselves to really be able to make sense of everything for ourselves. I've talked about this in the past. I've talked about this with a lot of my colleagues. How many of our children and families came back broken, in need of healing, and in need of a lot of resources just to find the center again. But that was the same need our teachers had. That's the same needs that administrators had. That's the same needs that I had, And again, it's something that, I can't blame anyone for. I can't say it's a system or this or that. It's just the reality. And I think right now there's work being done around how do we prepare for the next time? How do we get everybody back to center again? How do we really, ensure that we are socially, emotionally ready to move forward and really move our children forward and get this work done that needs to be done? But it doesn't change the fact that I am in a very reflective space. I'm asking myself, what mistakes did I make? What could I have done better? What could I have foreseen? What did I let get to me? What things was I experiencing or going through that I wish there were other people around to really support, and be able to talk me through and walk me through. There's just so much. There's just so much that I wish could have been done differently. And looking into the future, a lot of these things I can say right now, well, next time I'm going to do it this way. But next time is so undefined and so nondescript, because we don't know what next time is going to look like. Now as educators, we're being asked to be, something more than we were before and be ready for anything. And it's tough. It's very, very tough. And I have to send much love and respect for those of us and all of you out there who have chosen this profession, to say that I'm going to do this as my life's work and not just a job. But we're being asked for so much more, and rightfully so, because if not us, then who? This past school year, I got to see 100% of my seniors get into college. During the year after the majority of my students were quarantined, learning gap, the learning loss is a real thing. The spaces that we're trying to recover from are real things, real spaces. In the midst of all that, the pain, the hurt, the suffering, the lacks of, we were able to do so much. Question now is, what's next? So I am in a very reflective space. And I'll say this, this is a very, very short episode, and I'm just kind of like jumping on here to just kind of like get my brain and my chops warmed up for tomorrow's episode and future episodes. I plan to be on here more often and much more scripted, but also marrying that with a lot of unscripted narratives and discourses, because I think, in the course of my career and these past 3 years, I've learned so much, and I don't know how much of what I've learned are being shared, because it's been a lot of common learning amongst a lot of us, school leaders and educators. I don't know how much of this is making it out there, being able to support the next generation of teachers and school leaders to be able to have wisdoms to reflect on, to say, hey, if I'm not learning this in my training, if I'm not in a district that's providing me with supports, there should be places you can go to, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on LinkedIn, or these spaces, and educators you can lean on to say, hey, how do I manage this? What do I need to see? How do I prepare for these spaces? But education has become something very, very different. In the past, they've said, to be a teacher, you are going to be a counselor. I mean, you're going to be a teacher teaching content. You're going to be a counselor. You're going to be mom, dad, uncle, sister. You're going to be, you're going to be a psychiatrist. You're going to be a psychologist. You're going to be all these different things. I think they used to say that back in the day just to kind of emphasize how tough the work is. But today, it's not just for the sake of emphasis. It's the truth. You got to be so much more. But how do you handle that? How do you navigate that? And then also, how do you maintain your sense of identity and your sense of balance in the world? I hope that in these next future episodes, that will be consistent, that we can really, engage in dialogue and conversations where we can really expand and grow together. And I welcome anyone who's interested in this work, whether you're a teacher leader, you're assistant principal, you're a principal, even superintendents. I've never been a superintendent, but if you're someone out there and you're like, hey, I want to know more, I'm here, and I'm going to be creating spaces for us to really not only engage in this capacity, but also maybe even create private spaces where we can get small groups to come together and talk and dialogue and learn. But nonetheless, I have 5 minutes to my pre-planning meeting for tomorrow's podcast, and I just wanted to make this quick recording, and I'll make sure to post it as soon as possible, hopefully before tomorrow's special, very, very special episode. Yeah. So with that being said, thank you so much for giving me these few minutes to kind of like disturb your day, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon and seeing you guys soon again. Be well, be safe, and till next time. All right, peace.
And now he's been promoted. His job, principal.
Let's see it.